Welcome to Vigorous Training. I'm Coach Steve, here to talk about training intensity. So, training intensity, I feel it's still poorly understood. And people take a pre-workout to increase training intensity, but it's an artificial training intensity. And yes, okay, it's citrulline malate and beta-alanine, caffeine, DMAA, or whatever stimulant they put in the pre-workout. It's going to give you a better workout, of course. But it's not going to push you past failure, because failure is painful. Failure is difficult, and those grinder reps, a pre-workout is going to help, but it's not going to push you to the next level. So it's something you're going to have to learn as you go, because training intensity is, of course, built up as the longer you stay in the bodybuilding sport. So what I see with most of the beginners, they train failure to stop. And at one point they'll learn how to train to failure or beyond, whether that's with the help of a spotter. And usually the spotter or a training partner is kind of stimulating them. Like, come on, like encouraging. So you'll get some training intensity out of that through the encouragement of another training partner. But at one point the weights will get so heavy, we're talking a little bit later in your career or a little bit in your bodybuilding journey. The weights will get so heavy that they get intimidating. And then the first rep is already like, my God, it's really heavy. And you feel it, normally in the beginning of your training, you go to failure in the last 3 reps, they're, exhausting, right? Imagine if the first rep is already exhausting, but you got enough energy in your system to do 8. Yeah? And then the 9th and the 10th, you maybe fail. So let's say it's a shoulder press, it's a 100-pound shoulder press. That first rep, especially if you accelerate it, you've already feel it in your shoulder. You already feel your delts burning. Yeah. Now it takes a special mindset to push you past failure at these heavy weights, and it usually stems from aggression. And so what I've been doing for 20 years, well, maybe not the first couple of years, but once I start getting into the heavier weight and you do 10 plates, 8 plates on leg press, you're like, it's much. The only way you get through that is by bundled up aggression. Yeah? Some people don't like to train with that, but I certainly enjoy training with that, because when things happen, outside forces that make you stressed or feel frustrated or whatever, I'm sure we're all a little bit frustrated now sitting at home. Instead of fixating on that problem, feeling frustrated in the moment, I just bundle it up. And I know that's not the most healthy thing to do. But when you're going to the gym and you're allowed to release this bundled up frustration and aggression underneath the weights, you turn that aggression into positive aggression, positive energy. You turn something negative into a positive. You're releasing all this every day. It's like your outlet. And that's why I think one of the reasons why a lot of people are having problems now, because when the gyms are closed, and that's why I immediately bought a home gym, because I need to release my aggression through the weights. A lot of people don't have that opportunity to release their aggression or frustration on the weights, and they're being bundled up, and it's compounding until something bad happens. So if you train with aggression, you don't have to you don't have to produce the aggression. You can just tap into something that has been happening, whether that's financial stress, relationship stress, school stress, dietary stress, trenbolone aggression. You keep that, and then when you do start training, you release it. Yeah? And it doesn't, when you release this emotion and aggression during the training, you don't have to think about anything. It's just a raw emotion that you're releasing. Yeah? So you don't have to think about something traumatic that happened in the past or recently. Don't keep it's very hard to explain probably. You don't keep the memory of a bad thing and that is making or is causing the aggression or the frustration. You're keeping the raw emotion. Hopefully you can deal with the problem and solve it. But you keep the raw emotion and you release that while you're working out. You might need to get triggered. I get triggered by metal music. It releases it, and I can't listen to it at home. I listen to jazz or classical music and maybe a little bit of hip hop. It's the metal music, it helps me to release and channel that aggression into the workout. And then as soon as my workout is over, my aggression is gone. And I'm good for the rest of the day, or the next couple of days. So I know it might be a little bit of a touchy subject, and we're going to a little bit of deep dark place, but the aggression that you need to get under a 3-plate front squat, or 10-plate leg press, or 3.5-plate stiff-legged deadlifts, or 5-plate deadlift, 6-plate deadlift, you need to fuel it with something, and pre-workout is not going to do that. Really, it's not going to do that. It's some people they go from the pre-workout phase to the aggression phase, and then they tap into something else. Probably haven't reached that yet. I know that Jordan Peters, he doesn't tap into it anymore. He listens to classical music, maybe, or maybe the classical music just keeps him leveled instead of listening to metal music, setting him off way too much and releasing too much aggression to the point he tears himself apart. I've been there a few times where it's too overwhelming, and then you just keep grinding and grinding and grinding to the point you're literally afraid of tearing something. So if you do one more rep, my tendon is going to snap off the bone. But that's the intensity you need to progress beyond a certain amount of muscle, and you don't really have to, like, let's say you went through something traumatic, right? And every time you talk about it, you bring up this traumatic experience, you get to relive it. Great, thanks. People ask you, well, what happened? You talk about it and you live it again. Okay, you might be able to help with processing that. So you might talk about it a few times. You learn how to process that bad memory or whatever happened. But the raw emotion you can remember. And you just take this emotion that you felt into the workout. So when I work out, I don't think about anything bad that ever happened to me. Nothing frustrating, nothing like, a traumatic experience. I just use the raw emotion to fuel my workout. And that allows me to get that out of my system. This is some sort of therapy. I turn that raw emotion, that aggression, that negative energy into positive energy, increasing my muscularity. So I turn it, something bad into something positive, and that, makes me productive for the rest of the day, because now that's out of my system and I feel good, I feel happy, I get to release all that bundled up stuff, and I'm 100% for the rest of the day. I don't have any negative thoughts, negative emotions, negative, and let's say I get my workout in the morning, I get my aggression out of the door. Let's say later in the day, something happens. I'm like, yeah, whatever, whatever. I don't get annoyed because it's already gone. All this negative shit out of my system, and that's why I think it's a terrible idea now to shut down the gyms, because people use it to release, and by me opening up, I hope everybody can understand why I choose to train so intensely and go to failure and make a little bit of shouting noises and listen to my metal music. It's partially therapy for me, and I've been doing it, my own therapy like this, for 20 years, and that's how I deal with it. And I know a lot of other people deal with like this as well, and that's why with the gyms being closed now, it's really well, as we've noticed, I don't think it's good for mental health. I was able to build my home gym to a capacity where I can train as insane as I want to, even though I have limited equipment. But for people who don't have financial means to set up a home gym or space, or or enjoy that social aspect of the gym, it's I don't think it's a good thing. Well, I guess we went into a little bit of different direction with this segment about training, but it just is how I deal with it. The troubles of life, I keep the aggression, the raw emotion, I channel it into my training. And I find that is therapeutic and beneficial for my mental state and well-being. Yeah, because I turn this aggression into muscle, and now my aggression is gone, and I feel much more at peace. Yeah. Hope that helps. Hope that sends you in the training of intensity and mental well-being. And I'll see you guys in the next video.